Hi, I'm Christina.
And I'm Tim.
And today we're going to build a watershed model. Just to give you a quick reminder of what a watershed is, it's an area of land where the water runs or sheds into a larger body of water. Understanding what a watershed is and keeping it in good health is not only important to humans, but also to animals and habitats. Today we're going to build two watershed models. Our first one is a simpler version of a watershed, just to understand its basic features. Feel free to take this process step by step and pause the video as you go along and do it with me. All right, let's get started. The things you're going to need today is a spray bottle with water, tape, a washable marker, a piece of paper, and a container to collect the water. I'm using a baking tray here, but you can use a casserole dish or any container you have at home that would fit your piece of paper in. All right, so we're going to use our imaginations. We're going to pretend that this piece of paper is going to be a watershed. And the first thing you have to do is gently crumple it up together. You can make it into a light ball. And then you're going to lay it down on your container that's going to hold the water. And you're going to tape those four corners. What this piece of paper is representing is the topography of our watershed. So our mountain ranges, our lakes, rivers, streams, and so forth. All right, let's tape down these four edges. When we add the water to our watershed, it will make the paper try and go flat. So this tape will help hold it in place. All right, next, we're going to take our blue marker and all these little bumps and cracks on the top of our watershed here, so all of our ridge lines, we're going to outline in blue. Feel free to be really liberal with our blue marker because when we add the water, the blue of the marker will represent the water that will flow down. So let me just outline all of these. So we have some small hills here, our mountains. Okay, it's pretty well outlined now. Before I make it rain, let's make a hypothesis of what we think is going to happen. Where will the water flow? Will you have more than one watershed inside your main watershed, just like the Long Island Sound watershed has many watersheds inside of it? Now, let's make it rain. You're going to gently spray the water right onto that watershed. And look, you can already see we have some blue flowing down. Let's add some more here. And watch the water as it travels down. This right here in the front, it's going out into a major outlet and it's not pooling together. So that would probably represent an ocean. Over here on the back side, our water is pooling together. So all this water is coming down, pooling together, that would probably represent a lake. Now, the water won't flow up and over our mountain range here. So this section, where it's a lake, that would be a separate watershed. So we have one watershed already forming here. In the front, where we had our ocean, that would be a watershed. And it looks like we have a really small watershed forming over here because the water is forming in this little lake. So all these little cracks right here would be our streams or our rivers. So you want to see how many watersheds you would have in your map. And this overall represents a watershed.
Now that we've seen how water moves through a watershed, where it comes from, and where it ends up going, we're going to introduce some realistic components to our watershed model. The idea for this model comes from the Environmental Protection Agency. Starting with the very bottom of our model and working our way up, we have rock. this rock is able to have water come through and pool in it. We call that an aquifer. Aquifers are able to hold and transport groundwater. Above that, we have our surface area. This area is made of clay and sand, actual materials that are able to absorb water and things that we would find in our watershed. We've added some topography to the map, like mountains with snow and rivers with tributaries. When we add water, we're going to see where that water travels and how it moves across our landscape to inevitably pool in the larger body of water. I'm going to add the rain or the precipitation to the watershed model. This will allow us to see how the water travels over the land and where it goes. I've dyed the water blue to be able to better track what it's doing and where it's going. I'm going to add the water up near the top, and we'll see how it travels down the rivers while avoiding pooling in the higher elevation spots. It'll pool in some of the natural elevations, some of the little dips and pools, showing our lake watersheds. I can see that the water is traveling all the way down our rivers and pretty much sticking to the rivers themselves. Any of the water that travels over the land is ending up in some other body of water, which is what we'd expect to see. This would represent a really big rainstorm, and we can see that our waters started at the top, moved down across the elevation, and a lot of it's made its way down to the Long Island Sound, or our representative Long Island Sound. Some of the water is pooled on the map. These are going to represent our smaller watersheds, our ponds, our lakes, and other parts of the larger picture where water is staying. Some of this water is also going to seep down through the ground and into our aquifer. And that's our watershed model. In our Long Island Sound watershed video, you learned what a watershed is. In this video, you learned how a watershed is formed.
It's important that you care for the watersheds because we all live in one. The next time you're outside, take a look around and see if you can identify some of the elements that make up a watershed.